Hello. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jim. I'm a person in recovery. Um, this is cool. I've never done a speaker share like this, so I don't really know how it's gonna go. It might be 15 minutes, it might be 30 minutes. I've had a bunch of energy drinks, so I'm a little shaky, nervous now, of course, because why not? Um, yeah, so let's try this out. I'm gonna talk a little bit about loss and grief and drugs and alcohol, just as a bit of a warning if it's not obvious. Um, and I'm going to be intertwining a few different stories, a few different addictions too. So don't expect this to be super linear because I'm making it up as I go, and we'll see. Um, yeah, so my story growing up, my first 18 years were completely sober. Um, I grew up in a household where drinking was a daily occurrence, a nightly occurrence. So I was around it all the time. Um, but through that whole time, it was just something that never interested me. I just never thought that I wanted to drink or that it was something for me. Um, I was more into the band at school and the drama club and my few friends and all of that who didn't do that stuff at least too much yet. Um, so yeah, then I went to college and everything fucking changed. My roommate introduced me to weed, but I think I got introduced to alcohol first. They were right around the same time, first few months of college. And with alcohol, man, that first night I decided to drink with my, you know, dorm mates, I was so happy, pumped, excited, feeling great. Like I had just figured it out. Like, oh my God, so this is why people drink. I feel amazing. I feel so good. I can talk to people. I'm making friends. I'm at school now. I'm like, it like clicked with me. It's like perfect timing. Yes, alcohol. So that just clicked right away. Um, and the first time I smoked with my roommate, who I really liked, and we were hitting it off really well, he took me to the bridge on campus um, and had a bowl. And I remember I stood there with the bowl in my hand for like probably 5 minutes with him, debating whether or not I was going to hit it. I was just like, I don't know. This feels like something's changing here. I honestly like thought about this. Like, am I gonna smoke weed? Well, I did, and I smoked a lot of it, and I fucking loved it. Oh my God. There's another thing. Like, it's just another thing that clicked. I mean, I love music, and I was just hearing things in music that I've never heard before. All of these, frankly, great experiences my freshman year of college. I'll wrap that up by saying I was also introduced to Adderall in college and stimulants of that kind, um, which was offered to me, or somebody else was doing it. Some kid had a script on the college campus and was selling them. And the first time I tried a stimulant, wow, another great story for me because I just felt so good. I felt like in a way, oh, this is how people focus. This is how I'm supposed to feel. This is how I'm supposed to get shit done. Like, this is how people do it because they're actually able to concentrate and like produce something and sit down for like an hour and actually produce something. So, like, that was huge for me. And I was a B, C student in high school. like throughout my 18 years sober. So I was never like a stellar student, even without drugs or alcohol distracting me. Um, had trouble completing my homework, you know, but I was never diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that. It was just like, I don't know, I just dealt with it. But again, finding that drug was like a miracle because not only did it make me feel really good, but it helped me study. It helped me write papers. It helped. Oh my God. Like I felt like I needed it. So I ended up pursuing a script a few years later after college, and I'll probably get into that a little bit. Um, Let me go back to my notes here though for a sec. Yeah, so basically I discovered all of this shit when I was 18 for myself. And everything was good. Like I went basically through the entirety of my 20s drinking and smoking daily, but also like misusing Adderall. Like I would take it at times that, uh, basically stay up all night, play video games, uh, look at stupid shit on the internet all fucking night. And then I'd go to bed, lay down for like 0.2 seconds, the alarm would go off, and I'd get back up and like go to work. I would do that over and over again. Um, yeah. So throughout my 20s, I'm 36 now. Everything was fine. I mean, I had a partner, a long-term girlfriend who eventually I asked to marry me. She said yes. That was awesome. Um, we lived together. She drank, but not like me. Not She was an occasional drinker, the kind of drinker that they say exists, but it's certainly not me. Um, so fast forward a little bit, 2016. That is when my father got sick and passed away. He, in fact, it was March 2016 that he went to the hospital because my mom found him on the couch, just like basically non responsive. And prior to this, he had been showing some signs of being unhealthy. He was losing a lot of weight. He was, his eyes were a little yellowy. Um, he was, he would always be like cranky and, you know, he's such a interesting guy because he always came off so chill, and everybody believed that he was so chill as a person, like nothing could bother him. Now he's just like a stoner. But like he was also super irritable and irritated and like angry, especially towards the end. And the more I think about it, it's because his mind was like poisoned. He was essentially, his blood was poisoned. He went to the hospital because he had a blood infection, or he had an infection that became a blood infection, and his body was not fighting it well enough, basically. I mean, he went from, going to the hospital, it was basically exactly a month span of time where he went to the ICU, um, and then, like went on dialysis and stuff. He was moved around a little bit in between hospitals. There were signs of hope that he was going to get better, and then it just went down, and he went back to the ICU. put a tube in him. They were breathing for him. Um, and man, yeah, that shit was traumatic. That was really fucked up and sad to watch him die like that. Um, and I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't understand it, even though he asked me on his in his ICU bed for nips for a drink, an alcoholic drink. It's like, Jim, you bring me a nip. Like, what? No. Like, but then even then, you know, I didn't quite get it. Like, I knew the guy drank a lot, but still, and I think it's because I was raised this way. I didn't see it as like he was an alcoholic. Um, but he really, really was. And I'm finding out that my grandfather was too. So that shit runs in my family. But anyway, back to my dad. He passed away. A whole bunch of shit happened that year between him passing away. My wife and I bought a house a couple months later here here in the northeast of the US of A. I don't know what I'm not going to give away my real location. um yeah, so all right, I'm losing myself here. Yeah, bought a house, um got a new job, and my wife got pregnant. All of that happened in less than a year span of time and right after my dad passed away. So I felt like in 2016 was like just a transformative year. Mostly not mostly in a bad way. But obviously there was such a huge event in my life that fucking was gonna drive a lot of the future and how the future looked. Um, so let's see. So yeah, I was a wreck that whole year. It was like I was floating. Like I don't remember much of it. I was obviously drinking and smoking a lot to get through my depression and stuff like that. I did start going to therapy. My wife at this point recognized that I had an alcohol problem. Um, and that happened for a number of reasons. I was really bad at hiding it. I don't think I was really trying to hide it. It got to a point where I was drinking during the day. I was working in the city, and I would go to whatever bars close by and get a couple drinks at lunch. At some point, I was just okay with doing that. I don't know exactly when it happened, but then on my way home, I would stop at the liquor store and pick up a couple bottles of booze and drink those on my way home, like before I would see my wife. So there were times where she would smell it on me, and she knew what was, she was on to me and asking me about it, and I was denying it and all this stuff. Um, but she found all of the empty bottles that I was stashing in my car. She saw all the empty bottles that were in the basement that, like, I had my program, my moving around, moving things around to make it look like I wasn't drinking a lot, but I really was. Um, and just living that day by day. So again, I'm like looking back at my notes. Shit, this stuff really is disjointed. But I almost have a timeline here. It's almost working. Um, yeah, so I was hiding my drinking. I was smoking a lot. The one thing I am proud of, and I'll mention here, I did grow some of my own weed in 2017 because it had just become legal in my state to do that. So when I moved into my new house, I did grow in my basement, which was a cool little project. I was drinking the whole time and hiding my drinking, but yeah, no regrets about that. That was fun. That was cool. Um, yeah, so as time goes on, my wife contacted a therapist and basically told them like we're through my primary doctor that she felt I was drinking too much as one thing. She felt that I was grieving over my dad and I was also drinking too much. And those were two good reasons to see a therapist. So I did. And I started opening up to this guy. And that was one of the many tools I'm going to be talking about tonight that fucking helped me for real. Because I'm like an introverted person, I think, naturally. I don't, I a lot of times would prefer to be alone or with just a few people. So, yeah, opening up and having a chance to have an objective third party to bounce all my stuff off of was huge and helpful. And yeah, I knew what I was doing was wrong. The drinking in the car stuff, like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm just asking for it, right? But it kept going. I loved drinking. I couldn't imagine stopping. I loved drinking while I was grilling and cooking, cleaning, or doing whatever. It just helped. Um, so yeah, I'll fast forward a little bit to a few years later, like 2019. I guess you could say it's getting pretty bad at this point. Um, you know, between my hiding it, I'm not being truthful to my wife about things. I did decide to go to an AA meeting, which I'm proud of back then. I went to a real in-person AA meeting and it was in my old hometown. So I was worried about seeing some people and I actually did recognize somebody from high school, but I don't think she recognized me. But anyway, um, that was an interesting experience. I wasn't sold on it right away, but there were things that I liked about it. Somebody told a good story. I didn't like the God stuff and the religion all mixed into it, but it was, my introduction to AA and like the fellowship and all that. And after that first meeting, I went back to my car and drove home and drank all the way home. um, but I knew what I did was good, like, and important. Well, a few weeks after that, I was at work and my good work friend, like, disappears online. Like, I find out he just got fired. I'm like, why the hell did he get fired? Well, it turned out he was drunk or seemingly drunk on a call with our boss and other people. And they were just like, we have to terminate you. And I couldn't believe it. Um, I had been having serious thoughts about alcohol at this point and stopping and trying to stop. Um, but that event, and my birthday was like 2 days before that. And then the night before, I drank a whole bottle of red wine by myself in my office, just like as I would do. So I was feeling shitty about myself for that. My buddy just got fired for being drunk. That day was like an aha moment for me. Between all this shit that had happened with my dad, you know, I had finally found somebody or seen somebody in real life who had been negatively affected by alcohol. because everybody else up until this point is just like, party, yeah, party, right? Like, and I'm just like, fuck. In my mind, I'm like, I knew it was all bullshit. Like, anyway, I went to his house a couple weeks later to return some of his stuff from work and hang out. He was a drummer, so we like played drums together. And that day, I realized he had like went into the kitchen and was like pounding liquor with his roommate. And so the rest of that afternoon, like I just realized like, holy shit, he's getting wasted. And I held off at this point. I'm like, I'm a couple weeks sober. I didn't tell them that, but I was just like, I'm gonna stick with my weed. I'm just good with weed. Um, so he got like shit faced, and he's all depressed about losing his job, and like talking to his brother about how he lost his job again. I find out that the dude has lost like 6 or 7 jobs from drinking. So there is another point, like a holy shit moment. Like, what? Like, you would think after the fourth or the fifth job you lose, like, you'd figure it out, but damn, like that's crazy. So his story by proxy at that point for me was huge. I read the book This Naked Mind by Annie Grace a couple months into my sobriety. And I swear to God, guys, like that book, and I'm sure other books do it too. I've heard of great things, but I was like, it deprogrammed me. It helped, it really helped me understand the science behind alcohol, why we think that it's good, all of the reasons why we might think that it's good, but it's really not. I actually read that book, and I don't read any books, but I read that whole book. Um, and that was really huge for me. Um, you know, I've been using other other things to keep myself sober from alcohol because I think that's what's most important for me right now. That this has been my mentality. Um, I'm people call it California sober, people who still smoke or do other things. I'm doing what works for me. And I'm currently 4 years and 10 months alcohol free. And that's fucking huge. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not perfect. Oh, I'm far from it. I got a bunch of other shit to work on. But I have not had a drop of alcohol this whole time. And I'm fucking stoked about that. I wanted to take some serious time during this share to just like reflect on the fact that it's happening in my life, that this is real, that I didn't see myself having a life without any alcohol. I didn't think I would have fun. I didn't think I could do it. But I'm proving to myself I can do this shit. Um it's hard. And I'm honestly still at a place where I'm replacing alcohol with other things. I haven't figured out how to just be completely sober and live and just I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't done the steps yet. Um, but what I do know is I made a really fucking good decision to stop drinking because drinking sucks. Um, it's the most obvious statement in this kind of room, but yeah. Let me check out the rest of my notes here. Uh, yeah, so now when I walk past the liquor store, I just go right to the dollar store next to it and buy a shit ton of candy and soda. Um, yeah, I don't see myself ever giving up sugar. Fuck that. Um, but yeah, so I think the theme or the what I wanted to get across in this share is that it's taken a lot of tools consistently to get to this place, between reading that book, having personal interactions with certain people, having good friends and a good wife who don't really drink. I'm not around it much. Um, Going on the stop drinking subreddit and just reading people's stories, going to an all night place and hearing people's stories. All of these things have helped me maintain alcohol free status. Um, and I'm super fucking grateful. I feel really lucky that those things that I've talked about a little bit have fallen into place, or fell into place, that I was, you know, um, because unfortunately, like, I truly have the family history for this shit. So no matter what, I need to continue to not drink, no matter what, because my life depends on it. And that fucking sucks, but it's the truth. Um, so I love being around this place, all night place, doing service. Um, has been sweet. And I have friends here. Like, I truly consider people here friends, and I've never met them in person, um, but it's just been like, I don't know, it's been a year and a half, or becoming on 2 years maybe, like this year, that I've been coming to this place. I don't know. Um, it seems like a long time, but at the same time, it doesn't. Yeah, so I've got that alcohol free time. I haven't done any like Adderall for 460 something days. So I quit that stuff thanks to this group, by the way. Some people in this group truly helped me decide to, like, be honest with my therapist about this. And I have no regrets. Um, I'm tired as fuck all the time. I can't concentrate for shit. It's frustrating. I'm struggling, but I know I'm doing things more correctly than I could be, than I had been. Um, yeah, that might be it. Let's see. Let me make sure. Yeah, I talked about my wife. She's fucking awesome. She's helped me get through this. Got a core group of friends that I've had since high school, just a couple that I still hang out with. I got a job. Like, things are good for me right now, and I want to, you know, there's so much time left to figure out my relationship with other substances. You know, I'm not just going to quit everything tomorrow. I don't see that happening, but I do see progress in what I'm doing, and I'm not harming myself like I was harming myself before. So that's pretty sweet. Okay. I had no idea how I was going to end this thing, so I'm just going to end it awkwardly. Thank you so much, Mary, and everybody here. Thanks for listening to my little story. Yeah, thanks.